Hello everyone, thank you for coming today. I hope you've had a good week. I almost said weekend, but it's been a week. And that you're enjoying your vacation if you're on Swedish vacation time. Otherwise, that you're just having a good week. Whew. I think I'm gonna... It might come later. Oh, sorry about that. That's a good one. Yes, I hope you had... Hey, Steven, nice to see you. You're the king today. I should start chatting so I can also become the king. I'm obviously envious of that crown. How has your week been? Have you had a good week? Hey, Christian. Nice to see you. Christian, are you in the Discord group? I'm not sure if I've seen you there. You know, we have, I think... What date is it today? 17th. I don't think this weekend, probably the weekend after, we're going to have another coaching call. They've been really good so far. I've enjoyed it a lot. And it's nice when it's not just one person I'm talking to, but actually a group. And we announced that in the Discord channel. So if you haven't joined, make sure you join. Who else is here? By the way, has anyone seen the last video I recorded? I did a new thing. I actually I bought one of those suction cups, you know, you can set in the car so I can film myself while I'm driving. I've done it before, but then I kind of had it leaning on the panel board and it doesn't work so well. Hey, One Eye, nice to see you. One Eye is Lorenzo, I remember now. Yeah, I got one of those suction cups. So I can actually put it in the front of the car and I can sit and have a conversation while I'm driving. It's actually really nice because if my fiancé is with me, we'll many times have talks, even though it's not that one-sided, unfortunately. But we'll have conversations. Lorenzo, yeah, exactly. And now I can record myself. So today we did a little bit of a longer drive. I was driving to a zoo with the kids. Actually, we had two cars because my in-laws are here. And I was driving alone, so I recorded a video. I think it was like almost 30 minutes, and I talked about... Kundalini awakenings. It's something that I see so much about, and many of the people who recorded, like they've had like one thing where they feel something and they do so many interpretations and they have all these ideas and thoughts about what it means. I'll try to get on that. I find Discord confusing though. It's a little bit confusing, but it's just a matter of getting used to it. So yeah, there's a lot of people who just love the concept of Kundalini. I never think about it like that, but I had while I went through my first like enlightenment cycles, they call it in the Theravadan tradition, there's like a jnana you go through. And after I finished the first one, it was like someone just pulled a cork on my head and I was just shaking and eyelids fluttering, and it was like someone turned on a water hose from a fire truck in my spine. So it was pretty painful. And I have had Kundalini, even though I never referred to it like that, I've had energy just running up and down my spine constantly for 15 years. It just never stops. And it's quite debilitating at times and very difficult and not fun at all. But it also makes my meditation really different because it's like I call it a biofeedback. It's really easy for me to know when I'm having a lot of distortions because then this pressure is kind of strong. But when I'm in non-centricness or no distortion, then this pressure disappears. And it's very clear, like to see that relationships, or for me, it's easy to figure out what am I supposed to do in my meditation to use my awareness in such a way that I feel a low sense of self, and then quite tangibly then the world becomes this like sparkly thing where it's just really enjoyable to be there. And there's this solid peaceful stillness that comes over you that just makes everything, it's not that you escape somewhere else, you're so literally here that there's nothing outside of now. And since I have this constantly going on, it's helped me to guide my practice. And that's like whatever I share is stuff that's come out of that process that I've been dealing with for 15 years. And it's caused me to get burned out, like, because I think the reason that it's different for me than other people is that I have 3 herniated discs, and it seems like that gets like some kind of blockage. And since it's a blockage, it creates pressure. And so I basically get a standing wave of the stuff people call Kundalini. And I see it very different from people who call it energy and like you want to increase it. Like, no. When you have distortions, then you feel it. But when those blockages get cleared, meaning when the kundalini, the chakras are open, then you don't feel any kundalini. So I never talk about it in those terms because I don't know if it's energy. It's just something I feel constantly all the time. You could call it energy. I can absolutely understand why people call it that, because that's what it feels like, but that doesn't mean it is energy. It could be some kind of pressure of the veins. It could be energy, of course. It could also be the body feeling things that are outside of what we're used to experiencing, or maybe imagine there's something other than electromagnetic waves and that we simply haven't discovered yet. That's kind of, I simply don't know. But if you've been here and listened to me talk, you know that I don't interpret things. I just explain what I feel. Kundalini is similar to first jhana for the PT. No, jhana is something completely different. Calling it energy would make Goenka sad. Oh, does he not talk about it as energy? No, maybe he doesn't actually. I don't know. I can't remember. No, jhanas and kundalinis are quite different. Jhana is a concentration state. Basically, there are a few different definitions of jhana, what they mean. Some, if the really like hardcore traditional people who study the books, some of those would say that, jhanas, it's like these heavenly realms, and like it's like completely unworthy. No one can reach that. It's impossible. If you practice the Mahasi traditions, or the more the traditions that are popular today, mostly the Burmese, I think, talk about this, then jhanas are like a natural occurrence that happens when you focus on an object for a long period of time, and they contain certain qualities. And for me, I never had to make them happen. They just came automatically, because since I had this pressure standing in my spine the whole time, it was very easy for me to concentrate, because I always had this really clear object to use as my object of meditation when I wasn't focusing on the breath. So they just kind of came, all of them, just up and down. I didn't have to do anything. And they do, basically a jhana, if you think of the distortions, meaning that you have I am here and then you have the world around you, what a jhana does is it kind of turns that feeling of I am here and the world is there into like this little bit softer, a little bit more cushiony, nice feeling place to be, and the world simply seems a bit different. The eyes, for me, would kind of go like that. They drop down. I don't really get jhanas anymore, because jhanas are a manipulation of the distortion wave. Like it's like this distortion, this pressure, then you manipulate it into a different frequency. Whereas a non-centric experience, when you're not there, then you cannot have jhanas, because they just disappear. You require a sense of self to have a jhana. If you don't have a sense of self, then you couldn't have a jhana. So they kind of, at least this is my experience, when I have no sense of self, I simply couldn't, for the world of me, get it into a jhana. It just doesn't work, because there is not that field of pressure towards the world that you can manipulate into a jhana. Hey Mats, nice to see you. Christian, let's see, I like the video. For me, there was always this need for progress and reward. Like I needed black belt in meditation and experience your part. Yeah, absolutely. And if people knew, I mean, if you really knew how insignificant meditational experiences are, you would probably stop meditating. Some of you, it's kind of, they just don't mean anything. Like they mean so little. But the reason they do mean something is that people have them and then they change their lives because there's one experience, and it kind of blows my mind. I've heard so many stories of people like leaving their families and just going on these grand journeys and doing all kinds of weird stuff because they had this thing, they were sitting and they felt bliss and like, wow, this is the way I want to live my whole life. And so they just leave their wife, leave their kids, and then they go out and become a monk. I'm like, what? You're insane. Like you lost your mind. It's it's very easy to get seduced by experiences, but in and of themselves they change very little. It's kind of like if you've ever had sex and before you had sex you were kind of like, wow, if I could just, and like imagine the hottest man or hottest woman that you can think of, and like if I could just have sex with them, oh my god, my life would be mind blown. Especially when you're younger. I remember I thought that, imagine if I could be with that woman like that. But if that would happen, then afterwards, kind of like, well, it's done. Kind of, it's like you would go around with that memory, you'd tell your friends about, like, wow, can you meet? Like, I was with that woman, and like then after, it's kind of like it's just an experience. It's gone. Like, it's not there. It didn't really change that much. Like, you change your perspective. You know, oh, actually, it's just a normal person. Something will have changed, but generally speaking, spiritual experiences change very little in how you actually relate to the world long term, unless you use it as a way to say, oh, now I understand that I don't exist. You make that assumption that you don't exist, which is an assumption that's not absolutely truth. And then you change your world after that. So it does affect people a lot, but in and of themselves, they're quite insignificant. And so, yeah, the video was about we feel this need to ask for permission to be happy. It's like, I need to have that experience to enjoy being here. And so we come up with all these ideas and thoughts of things that need to be different for me to allow myself to be happy and to enjoy being here. Sorry, Banga is similar to Kundalini. What is it Goenka says? He says Banga. Does he Banga Jhana? Oh, I can't remember. It's years since I went to a Goenka retreat. Yeah, he talks about Banga. What is it he says? I've forgotten. I honestly, I've forgotten. It's such a long time ago that I went to a Goenka retreat that I've actually forgotten what he said. But I recognize Banga. Like I said, Goenka is kind of a... For those of you who haven't been to a Goenka retreat, what he says is that there's this offshoot of Buddhism in Burma. They're a direct lineage, directly from the Buddha, who kept the core teachings of the Buddha intact for 2,500 years. And there was a prophecy that after 2,500 years, there would be someone who would resurrect it or something like that. And only they know the true practice of Buddhism. That's the Goenka Vipassana, according to him. And he makes a lot of interpretations and extrapolations of practice that I have never heard anyone else talk about. It's just like his own stuff. But he's really good in selling, and he is extremely religious. So he's kind of made this practice into like a franchise, kind of like McDonald's, where you can repeat it over and over. They can establish centers everywhere. They have tapes. The people who work there need to know very little, because everything is kind of structured from the top, just like a McDonald's or a franchise. And he uses words that are quite... He explains concepts different than others, and he also uses a few words that I don't recognize other places. But one of the things I remember him mentioning was Banga. I think he calls it Banga Jhana. I just don't remember. Philip, hey, nice to see you. Have I seen you? Yeah, I recognize the name. Have you heard of Diamond Way Buddhism? Yes, I think I have. There's something about diamond. Maybe I'm confusing it with diamond posture. I'm not sure. There's so many different forms of, traditions of Buddhism. It's crazy. And the nice thing about Buddhism is that since Buddhism ultimately isn't about worshipping anyone, even though it's become like that, you can kind of take Buddhism and put it in a country and then kind of meld it with whatever was there before. So if you go to China, Buddhism in China contains a lot of talk about the spirits in the lakes and in the rivers and in the trees and different like things that just aren't part of any other Buddhisms, traditions of Buddhism, but they kind of melded together because Buddhism, again, doesn't really teach it has to be like this, generally speaking. Maybe Vajrayana tells more. Vajrayana, that's a non-duality people who are completely nuts, most of them, in my opinion. But they kind of melded together a lot of different traditions in Buddhism. So Buddhism is vastly different depending on what tradition you follow. If you look at Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism, the difference is Theravada is the old teaching and Mahayana is the great wheel. Mahayanas, they call the Theravadans the small wheel, or the small vehicle, actually, they call it. The difference being that in Theravada Buddhism, which is the school that I was almost said raised in, practiced in, then in Theravada Buddhism, then it's just one person who gets enlightened. I get enlightened, and that's kind of it. Then I can go out and share that, but it's my choice. Like one person gets enlightened. In Mahayana school, then the highest form that you can get is to become a bodhisattva, meaning that you're just about to get enlightened, but you kind of hold back, and then you die and you come back as a bodhisattva, meaning that you come back as someone who's just one lifetime before you become a Buddha or something like that. And then the whole world in 100,000 lifetimes, everyone will get enlightened at the same time. So it's completely different approaches, and they're just so different, but at the same time they have lots of commonalities that kind of go together. I think the Four Noble Truths are the thing that all Buddhist traditions have in common. I would guess. I haven't actually checked them, but I think so. Mats, how you been, Martin? Do you have a vague idea when your wife might come on stream? Oh yeah, I actually spoke to her about this just a few days ago, because of our parent-in-laws are here now, so it's a bit difficult for us to. For those of you who haven't known, like, people have asked if my fiance will come on stage on stream, and she's a really talented yoga teacher, like very, very talented. She's been teaching yoga for since she's a certified yoga teacher, but she's been teaching yoga for at least 10 years, and like she teaches I think 2 or 3 classes per week now, and she's really good. She focuses more on the relaxation part, and obviously she lives with me, so she has a different perspective of everything we talk about here. I can promise you, I have discussed it with her. And if you wonder what I'm actually like as a person outside of when I'm sitting here, I mean, she would be a good person to ask, because she'll have seen me when things are tough. It's very easy to be on stream or like sitting here and making a video and talking about things, but you don't actually know what I'm like in daily life. Or what I'm like with my children, or what I'm like with her, or how do we handle it when things get difficult, and then like the cycles, they go up and down, and so people have been asking if she can come on the stream and talk, and I talked to her about it, and she said yeah, she'd love to. The most problematic thing is that we have 2 small kids, 2, soon to be 3 and 6 years old, and they go to bed around this time, so she's actually inside putting them to bed now. But since our parent-in-laws are here now, either we will. You know what? I just thought about this now. It's still difficult to do it in the evening. Maybe I will do an extra live stream one day with her together. So instead of doing it like we do now with the meditation, because I asked in the Discord channel how people would want it, and maybe actually it's better that we do like a weekend and or a week. Evening or something. We decide a day and we do a stream where we just sit down together and we just have so that we chat, and you can ask her a question and me a question, and we can, if you want to ask what's it like being in a relationship when both people practice, and do we work together, like how does that function, like we are extremely attuned to each other. Like I know before she knows when she's having a hard time. Or when she's going to have her period. Like we know each other so well, and that sounds really nice, but it can also be really, really irritating. So there's a lot of things that could be interesting for people who, either if you're living in a relationship or if you're interested in having a partner, then and how that can be and what to think about when you meet someone. I think that would be a nice topic. I thought about making some kind of video about it also, but for now, like I like the stream concept, so maybe we'll just do an extra stream where we, because then it's easier, because now her parents would have to put them to bed, and I'm not sure they like that so much. So we'll see. But yeah, it'll be fairly soon, Mats. Yeah, fairly soon. Would people be able to come? I mean, it's also the question about or maybe we'll just do it on Discord when we do the. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. I'll talk to her about that when a good time would be. Can people join these evenings if it was earlier in the day? Like, would it work? It's 8 o'clock now. Would it work, say, 4 hours earlier than this? Would that be possible, like one day, that we did it a bit in the afternoon? Or would that be a time where people simply cannot join? We're also not married yet. We will be married next year. Yeah, if that's something that would work, like I said, 4 hours earlier, then maybe that's an option. We do it like that. Works for me. Oh, good. Yeah, I would still be at work 16. maybe 7. Yeah, I'll talk to her about it. Maybe we do it a weekend also. There's also an option that we do a weekend stream. It'd be fun. I'm really looking forward to getting her on here. She's incredible. Like this, she's just a really amazing person and very kind. And she's not done this stuff before, so she's maybe a little bit nervous about it. I don't know, but it'll be fun. And I think it would be fun for people to get to ask her questions. And she's practiced a lot herself as well for many, many years. So she has a different perspective, and she has the perspective of course, talking to me about all of this. So you can, maybe it'll be fun. We'll see. But fairly soon, Mats, since the parent-in-laws are here now. What else was I thinking about? Kundalini Banga. Oh yeah, Kundalini. The reason I took that up is because I was in the car today and I recorded a new video about, I think it'll be something like my 15-year ongoing Kundalini awakening or something like that, where I spoke about this whole thing, how it started for me and what happened and how it's affected me, how, I didn't really go into that much detail actually, but like I was literally shaking so much that I've fallen off the seat when I've been at meditation retreats because my whole body would be shaking so much, and that's really affected my practice. So I made a bit of a longer video on that, which I think will be interesting for a lot of people. And the reason I asked before about the video I just released was because that was the same format. Me sitting in a car having a conversation, and I kind of like that. I'm not sure if you do, but if you do, then leave a comment in the video so that I know. Stephen, do you agree with the Buddhist perspective on how the purpose of life is to create less suffering for you, yourself, and others? No, I don't believe there is a purpose to life. So I'm not sure they call that the purpose of life. Are you sure they call it the purpose of life? Because I don't believe there is a purpose of life. And I'm fairly certain that Buddhism doesn't say that there is a purpose of life. They might say that the highest goal or a good practice is to create less suffering for yourself and others. And I absolutely think that's a good goal to have, for sure. I mean, that's awesome. By making other people suffer less, then you'll suffer less, because people that are happy like make you less angry and are less likely to start fighting with you. So I think that's a great idea, but I would not call that the purpose of life. Absolutely not. Yeah, let's sit. It's Tuesday. No, it's Thursday today. For those of you who are new, we chat like this a little bit, and then we do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is where we focus on coming back to our senses, our sense doors, without interpretation. After that, today is Thursday, so we sit together for 20 minutes. There's no guided meditation, but we'll sit together. And today I am quite tired. We've been away all day, so it won't be a very long evening. We'll finish after this. So, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. We say out aloud 5 things we can see, 4 things we can feel, 3 things that we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And when we do that, we're focusing on the qualities of what we say. So for instance, first thing, I see a baton. When I see this, I try to not have an emotional relationship to it or feel it's good, it's bad, I like it, I don't like it, I want it, I don't want it, it's mine, it's yours. We're just trying to say, to look at the qualities it has, which is that, oh look, it's glossy here, there's a reflection, this is kind of smooth, and this is texture, there's like this thing sticking out here. When I turn it around, the shadows change, and like all this glittering stuff on it changes. Very interesting to see, and we try to become interested in the world around us by focusing on our senses. In other words, we're doing everything we can to not avoid being in this world. We're really, really doing our best to be here in this world, not escaping from this world, not believing that this world is bad and you need to go somewhere else, or that you need to change your life story, but learning to really feel that actually, you know what? Being alive, being you, being here is enjoyable. It is a nice experience. It's just that we've messed it up so bad. And society and ourselves and our parents have made it just really hard to enjoy being here. So we're trying to relearn to do that. I see a thermos. with lots of little cool ants and reflections, and there's something here, a drop. Oh, apparently it's been leaking, it seems like. Interesting. I see a office chair. I see a mess on the floor. And I see some woolen, what do you call that? Clogs kind of for inside that I won't be using now because it's very warm. That was 5 things I could see. Next thing we take is 4 things that we can feel. So I feel my beard. I can feel how it's kind of sharp here. And here is a little bit softer, but also sharp. I can feel this paper. It makes lots of interesting noises also. Sounds. I feel a mouse mat. And I feel a metal rod on the tripod for my microphone. That was 4 things I could feel. Next we take 3 things that we can hear. I hear the humming of the air conditioner. I hear cracking in my spine when this energy thing is pulling my spine down. It's crackling my spine. I hear dropping of water from the roof. There's 3 things I could hear. Next we take 2 things we can smell. I can smell sweat. I can smell something that smells like chemical, maybe like a mat, some rubber that's been overheated or something from the sun. Next we take 1 thing that we can taste. I can taste a bit of honey flavor. thank you for a nice sitting. I'll see. Maybe we can arrange something so we have that live stream we talked about this weekend, if it's possible, and if the weather is bad. I hope you all have an amazing week and weekend, and I will see you either this weekend or on Monday. See you soon.